When it comes to non-fiction programming, the distinction between reality TV and documentaries might seem stark, but a closer examination reveals this separation is not as rigid as it appears. Documentaries aim to provide educational content about real events and people, utilizing observational footage, thorough research, and interviews. Conversely, reality TV combines entertainment with real-life situations, often dramatizing daily activities to captivate viewers. Documentaries have deep historical roots, dating back to the inception of cinema, with films like Louis Lumiere's late 1800s portrayals of French life, evolving through the 1920s with structured narratives like Robert Flaherty's Nanook of the North. They have traditionally countered the commercialization of television by addressing societal issues and restoring trust in media, especially post the quiz show scandals of the 1950s. Because of this rhetorical and social positioning, documentaries gain the reputation as tools for public education and cultural preservation. In contrast, drawing from early observational documentaries, reality TV began emerging in the mid-20th century, with early shows like Candid Camera and later docusoap An American Family, which showcased unscripted aspects of everyday life. This genre gained massive popularity, especially during the 1980s and 1990s, with shows like Cops and America's Funniest Home Videos emerging as cost-effective solutions during the writer's strike. The success of these shows paved the way for a flood of reality content that we now see today. Despite its commercial success and significant influence on pop culture, reality TV often faces scrutiny for prioritizing entertainment over substantive content, affecting its reputation negatively. Over the years, both genres have experienced significant changes in aesthetics and content, giving rise to various subgenres and blurring the lines between them. These changes reflect shifts in viewer preferences, technological advancements, evolving production techniques, and distribution. The increasingly indistinct boundaries between documentaries and reality TV suggest both genres are adapting to serve similar roles in the cultural and media landscapes. So if they have evolved to be so similar, what sets them apart? As Stella Brizzi implies in the first edition of her book New Documentary, the most important distinction between documentaries and docusoaps is the social weight of their content, with documentaries typically engaging more deeply with serious societal issues and possessing greater authenticity compared to reality TV. However, using the distinction of social weight to separate the genres poses an issue. For one, using social weight as a metric perpetuates the idea that documentaries, due to their educational reputation, are inherently more valuable than reality TV. This distinction suggests that because reality TV is designed to entertain, it is less worthy of serious consideration and lacks the capability to contribute meaningfully to societal discourse. Moreover, this framework assumes that documentaries cannot exhibit the negative characteristics often associated with reality TV, such as lack of authenticity and commercialization, and denies the potential for reality TV to embody the informative and socially productive positive attributes typically ascribed to documentaries. The prevalent belief that documentaries are definitive sources of truth significantly contributes to their perceived distinction from reality TV, which is often dismissed as largely fabricated. This dichotomy, however, fails to account for the complex reality that documentaries, like any media form, also undergo selective editing, narrative crafting, and include staged elements that can compromise their authenticity. A prime example is the 1922 film Nanook of the North by filmmaker Robert Flaherty, celebrated as the world's first feature-length documentary. The film follows the lives of the Inuit in the Canadian Arctic, centering on Nanook, which wasn't even his real name, and his family. Despite its acclaim and historical significance, Flaherty intentionally portrayed Inuit life inaccurately by staging many scenes so that the film would better resonate with early 20th century romantic notions of indigenous peoples. While this film is still praised for its advancements in the medium, it does reveal a bias in how documentaries are perceived compared to reality TV. For instance, reality shows are often scrutinized when they use Frankenbite editing to misrepresent dialogue and craft drama, while historically inaccurate reenactments, or in Nanook's case, completely falsified information, in documentaries are often excused or ignored, highlighting a double standard in the evaluation of media authenticity. Secondly, unlike reality TV, documentaries aren't usually thought of as having overt commercial intentions. However, their growing mainstream appeal, especially in the true crime genre, and lower production costs compared to scripted shows illustrate how these films or shows can also be driven by financial incentives. Industry expert Dan Kogan, CEO of Story Syndicate, notes that documentary filmmaking has evolved from a niche, passion-driven pursuit into a mainstream commercial venture, much of which is fueled by the rise of streaming platforms. Netflix's release of Making a Murderer, which attracted 19.3 million viewers in just 5 weeks, not only transformed viewer expectations but also set a new benchmark for documentary success. However, unlike reality TV, true crime documentaries frequently capitalize on real-life tragedies and deaths, a practice that raises ethical concerns. As documentaries become more integrated into mainstream entertainment, the critique of reality TV's commercial nature in isolation seems unfair. Both forms are increasingly shaped by similar forces of market-driven content production, where the exploitation of subjects for viewer engagement becomes a common thread. Additionally, using social weight as a dividing factor between the two genres fails to recognize that reality TV has the potential to hold significant educational value in both conventional and expansive ways. Shows like MythBusters demonstrate its capacity to educate in the traditional sense typically associated with documentaries by engaging viewers with scientific concepts and historical facts through fun experiments and challenges. Beyond the traditional, the educational scope of reality TV extends to fostering social empathy and awareness to its audiences. For example, Love on the Spectrum, while not without its flaws, delves into the lives of young adults with autism, enhancing viewers' understanding and acceptance of diversity through personal stories. The show increases visibility for individuals on the autism spectrum, particularly within the context of dating and relationships. It confronts and challenges common stereotypes and misconceptions about autism by showcasing the varied personalities, desires, and challenges faced by autistic individuals. Another common assumption is that documentaries typically engage more deeply with serious societal issues, a viewpoint that might undervalue the breadth of reality TV's impact. In their book, The Ethics of Reality TV, A Philosophical Examination, Wendy Wyatt and Christy Bunton challenge this conventional distinction between high and low cultural forms. They argue against the wholesale rejection of popular culture as inherently low and devoid of value, describing such dismissal as an elitist perspective. Instead, Wyatt and Bunton advocate for recognizing and appreciating popular culture, including reality TV, as a legitimate and valuable form of cultural expression. They emphasize that any cultural artifact, regardless of its perceived status, should be taken seriously because it reflects and informs the actual culture in which we live. Building on this perspective, reality TV shows themselves have demonstrated a profound capacity to address complex social themes. The Real World, for example, when it first aired, it was pivotal in bringing discussions about race, sexuality, and other societal issues to mainstream audiences. A notable example came from the third season of the show when it featured Pedro Zamora, a 22-year-old Cuban-American AIDS activist diagnosed at 17. Zamora became one of the first reality TV stars to openly live with AIDS, making significant strides in humanizing the epidemic and challenging the stigmas associated with HIV and queer identities. By offering new perspectives on marginalized or stigmatized topics, reality TV can foster increased awareness and representation, serving as a powerful tool for societal impact and change, just as documentaries do. As Susan Murray notes in I Think We Need a New Name for It, The Meeting of Documentary and Reality Television, social weight cannot be empirically measured, but rather it is a rhetorical tool used to lend credibility to a show, appealing to audiences who value social responsibility. The distinction between the two genres is not based on their social weight, but instead based on an elitist perception and inherent bias that assumes educational media is high culture and entertainment media is low culture. Therefore, it's crucial to question the presumed opposition between entertainment and education, as these elements often intersect within the same piece of media, suggesting that these are not mutually exclusive categories, but rather aspects of media that can coexist. The distinctions we make between forms of nonfiction media are not based on empirical evidence, but are largely contained in the evaluative connotations that insist on separating information from entertainment, authenticity from exploitation, and public service from commercialism. Given the intertwined elements and overlapping qualities of documentaries and reality TV, it becomes evident that attempting to rigidly separate these genres might not only be futile, but also detrimental to the potential of media as a whole. Embracing the fluidity between genres such as documentaries and reality TV enhances our understanding that these forms may possess equal intrinsic value. This realization highlights that genre distinctions are often more about audience biases and preconceived notions than about the content's actual quality or importance. This is because genres are malleable, historically situated, and emerge from cultural categories. Understanding this can lead to a more open-minded consumption of media, where the focus shifts from categorical labels to the substance and impact of the content itself.